the person who complains that I procured spying equipment, it is his wife who procured those spying equipment, working for the city of Joburg. So this thing of making allegations for the sake of making allegations because you want to taint a person, they don't really work. That is why nothing happened to date, and nothing will happen ever.
Okay. In your statement, and even...
Honorable Sokanyel, General, who is the person accusing you of buying spying equipment?
Initially, I do know that the former city manager, Fred Brank, was the one who was accusing me, and then supported by a gentleman called Mesuli Mlandu. And this Mesuli Mlandu is a guy who was fired from Eastern Cape and then was employed in Ekurhuleni, was fired from Ekurhuleni, and then he started accusing and running after the former minister of Ekurhuleni, Mondli Gungubelo. You can check the articles. So himself, there were investigations running against him. How he got to be on the other side and started attacking me and challenging me and fighting me is because there came an instruction that say all senior managers of the city needs to be vetted. When we sent a team down there and say, we are told this man was fired in the city of, in Eastern Cape. He started saying, no, I'm conducting clandestine investigations against him. They are not clandestine investigations. Everybody must just submit the Z04, 204 papers so that everybody can be vetted. But he didn't want to be vetted at all. And above all, there were investigations that were registered where he assisted in the employment of a lady called Anela Kwababa, who had the qualifications of being a registered nurse somewhere there, because she created the impression that she's got HR-related qualifications when she did not have HR qualifications. Even now, I think she doesn't have, but this is a person who's occupying the most high position in terms of HR-related. So there are other people who think because of how forceful they are, how powerful they are, how strong they are in terms of character, they can force their way through and get what they want. And
your boss, General Masemola, deposed a statement in this committee. And one of the provisions in the statement say there was a meeting between him, General Khumalo, and the Minister of Police that declared you a rogue police officer. Are you a rogue police officer?
I've never been one in my 37 years old in the service.
So you deny the allegations?
I deny that, and they must prove that.
Okay. So you receive a call from a gentleman by the name of Brown Mokhuts, who comes and meets with you in a hotel in Camps Bay. You dine together. He divulges an intelligence information to you, an alleged plot to oust you or something. But didn't it concern you as a Deputy National Commissioner of the South African Police Service that a civilian comes to you as a boss of an institution and gives you an information about your intelligence services? Did it not concern you?
What concerns me is the fact that he was telling me something about I know. And in that regard, I work with information. I've got people who are my informers, I have people who are whistleblowers. I deal with information. So even if I am concerned, the only thing I can do is to either speak to the National Commissioner, or where the National Commissioner is involved, I'll speak to the deputy ministers.
What did you do with that information?
It's information that says watch over your back. And then what I did is, sometimes I approach the National Commissioner. Sometimes I did speak to General Kumar and say, I understand there is one of the senior managers who's going around here and saying, when I'm going to arrest your boss, or we intend to arrest so and so and so and so. And at some point, it's even journalists where they want a journalist to run a story that says General Sibiya's arrest is imminent, and they want the journalist to run that story. And then I have a lot of AI generated TikTok messages about me. So you find that when you Google me or when you go into TikTok, you find that there is thousands of negative messages, or they will take my message and turn it replicates into many messages.
The question, General, was that what did you do about that?
What did I do about the information? I use it to my advantage to make sure that I survive.
Okay. Are you in constant contact with Mr. Brown Mahotsa?
Not on a daily basis,
But you are communicating?
I am communicating.
About issues relating to the police service?
No, not about issues related to the
issues in general.
In general.
Okay. Where are the 21 dockets, 121 dockets?
Where are they?
Now, yes.
They are.
I'm asking from the custodian now.
They are I take it that they will be with the political killing task team project manager.
Why were they taken?
They were taken, brought by them to be taken to where they needed to be taken to, which is the specialized unit, murder and robbery unit, which is mandated to investigate political killing task team. Those that what they are investigating as a task team, in fact, belongs to murder and robbery unit. They are just a separate structure that is running outside the structure.
Okay, General, you have just confirmed with us now that the political killings task team is up and running. If that's the case, why were 121 dockets taken from the political killings task team that is up and running?
Chair, decision was taken to disband immediately. And the political killing task team project manager did say that this political killing task team have achieved the purpose for which it was intended for, to stabilize and to fight the killings of the politicians and your traditional leaders and others. Now, when you look at the map, I wish we could display the map. If it's doable, Chair, that what was presented in the to be able to see how they've stabilized. I don't know, Chair, evidence leader, that is it possible to put that document that shows how they have stabilized, all of them green, and then that in fact it shows 1-1, and they said only eThekwini district is the one that is problematic, but the rest there are no political killing testing anymore. So as a result, it can be used as a benchmark, and that it will be now done in phase out approach. It will be taken to murder and robbery unit. This is now General Kumar saying it will be taken to murder and robbery unit. Ask a question in relation to the Honorable Member's Kosana, that because he's a complainant in my case, and this is the person I'm going to sit with at some point, stand against in court, because he's a complainant. And him using this platform now to solicit answers from me that I'm going to have to defend before court, to me, it's a very serious concern. This is the member that I feel is working with General Mkhwanazi, because the statement that was used by the General Mkhwanazi's team to go and open a case, this name is there. Now I must stand before the same member to cross-examine or to ask me questions. Now I'm raising a concern.
Yeah.
If I can be protected.
I'm going to protect you in this way. You are raising a legitimate concern, And then we may not even be seen trampling on your rights. What I will advise you to do, because I explained to you yesterday that sitting here as the committee, we do not have any power to decide on how we are composed. So to protect your rights, I will advise you to decide if you want to respond to the question or not. If a question is asked to you, you can decide if you want to respond to it or not.
And if I say I don't want to respond to his questions?
No. We have to follow the process. You can't say, I don't want to respond to your questions. We must allow him to ask the questions. And then if you say, I reserve my right to comment, then it's okay.
Thank you, Chair. I think, Chair, there's a portal, Chair. Sitting in front of us is Honorable Skosana, who was sent by Umkhonto Wesizwe. Umkhonto Wesizwe is the one that opened the case. Now, let me remind you quickly, Chair. At one stage, South African says Parliament did nothing when Honorable General Mkhwanazi came to Parliament on this matter. So Umkhonto Wesizwe took an initiative before, at the same time when Honorable General Mkhwanazi spoke about this matter and opened a case. It is Umkhonto Wesizwe, not Honorable Skosana. It can be in a case where General Sibiya will be sitting with somebody else in court, not Skosana, sent by Umkhonto Wesizwe. So I think the clarification is pure and clear, Chair, that he must answer questions. And when you say he must not answer questions, sorry, Chair, when you say he must not answer, you can decide on which questions to answer or not. He can say from number 1 to 30, no, I don't want to answer. No, I don't want to answer. Where are we going to do that?
No, I'm not saying that he must not answer.
No, Chair, you are saying that he must decide if he wants to answer or not. So if from number 1 to 100, he decides, okay, he's going to waste our time and say, he asked a question and then he says, no, I don't want to answer. No, I don't want, until number 100. What is that? Is it not the same as Uguti? You have instructed or somehow gave him an option not to answer. So I think this is separated from court. This is Parliament. He must answer to Parliament. Here is answering to a parliamentarian who's sent by South Africans, not a person who opened the case sent by Umkhonto Wesizwe. Two matters are separate, I think. Thank you.
So I just wanted to say to South Africans, I am not involved in the Senzo Meyiwa case. I've never done anything wrong. And there have been many teams, more than 10 different teams that were set to investigate this.
Do you consider yourself competent as in your job?
Yes, I consider myself competent. If I was part of the tender process that was assessing Mr. Matlala's tender, I would suggest that it would be fair to say to me, why didn't you know? But I didn't form part of that process. I didn't even know that he's an applicant or is participating in such. Now, the arrest of General Khumalo. General Khumalo was arrested by IDEC. It's not the South African Police Service. So I wouldn't know. And all the things the honorable member is mentioning are not things within my sphere where someone can say, but why don't you know?
What I'm saying, ultimately, that we are in this mess is because they are the National Commissioner, yourself as head of crime detection, and then the head of crime intelligence cannot sit down and have a clear process to ensure that there are systems in place to make sure that we are detecting crime and that our children are getting justice when they're being raped and trafficked in the country.
I think we are in this mess because of the press briefing, unfortunate press briefing that was done. That was not supposed to happen. That's how we find ourselves in this mess, because everyone has been doing their best to try to do what they can under the circumstances.
You also said that Brown Mokosi, not Mokosi, was like an informant to you. So if this was the case, are you at liberty to disclose what sort of information he would supply to you, Brown Nokotse?
I did say that he informed me more of information around my the fact that he knows that there are people who are planning to really push me out of the police. This is what I said.
But he also, General Kwanazi also said that he said the same thing to him. So
Yes.
you didn't, so at your level, General, someone just comes and they says that and you just believe it. And you don't see that he could also just be pushing information, as you were just saying earlier about how people peddle information and plot people against each other.
I do listen, and as to what I do with it, is for me now to see how I deal with the information. But
Okay, so you used him for your personal survival in SAPS, because he seemed to have information both through government, or I guess the executive, and
I didn't use him. Yes, and when he called, I listened.
okay. So when you saw this letter on the day that you saw it, did you not think, okay, this thing is on the 31st, and he even knows that the National Commissioner is not there? Did those things not cross your mind, that this just seems just highly irregular? Or is it something that's common? You've been in the police force for a long time. For the minister on New Year's Eve, the whole world is resting. He decides he wants to send a letter of something that he could have dealt with in January when offices were fully open.
I wasn't shocked, and there's nothing shocking about it.
Why?
Because the ministers, the police, they are working during that period.
There's working, right, that's dealing with the issue of festive activities. We're talking about matters of border control. One was about doing a strategy for border control. They can wait until January. How is that even urgent? Even the thing about the disbandment. Okay, give me just one example, General, of any other time in your history of being in the South African Police Service where a minister sent a letter on the 31st of January in the afternoon about something that was not of critical national importance during that period. Just one.
What we know is that when the festive period, safer festive period is declared, policemen are no longer allowed to take leave until when it comes to an end somewhere in January. So during that period, the police are hard at work. And as the police are hard at work, they are not on leave. Now, me and you will differ in this sense. The minister is a new minister. And then him being...
He was excited.
No, don't use the word, Councillor, that he was excited.
Let's do like this.
Okay, sorry, Chair.
I don't like it when you exchange between yourselves.
On the 16th of January, there was a meeting between the minister, the National Commissioner, and Lieutenant General Kumalo was there.
Sorry, Chair. I have a question that I want to ask. I know I'm here to answer, but there's a point that I need to clarify.
Okay.
The honorable member says, here is a National Commissioner saying under oath that, and I put a document that demonstrated that, but the National Commissioner sent through the office of Sibola to my office. So we are sitting with two documents. This one comes from the National Commissioner's people. And here he's saying under oath that this is what he said, which is disproved by what I also sit with. Now, it needs to be clear that either what the National Commissioner said in his affidavit is not true, or I'm not telling the truth about this email. But I'm putting a position that says, despite the fact that the National Commissioner in his affidavit is saying, he told me to stop, but if he told me to stop, did General Sibola then act on his own accord by coming to my office and say, please print and give to the DNC to sign and send? So it's a problem there, because it shows that either myself or the National Commissioner, one of us is not being truthful. Thank you very much, Chair. The intelligence are falling under me, but they were not, like the counterintelligence are not reporting to me. They're reporting to General Kumalo. Now, I won't know. But above all, even the police themselves at the headquarters, they were not really aware, even how he got to be allowed on the premises there and also be the one to service the student, run the hospital of the student. During the police events at the college there, we will also have his gazebo there. So he was known. It's not like in my case, I'm to be singled out as the only person who was communicating. Most of the generals there knew him, like any other person who is known not to be a criminal. I didn't know that he's a criminal person.
I'm sure South Africans should actually be concerned about that. Really, if our head office is actually frequented by criminals and our highest echelons of our crime prevention actually systems, they do not actually pay any particular attention to that situation, I would find that very, very troubling. Okay. To the dockets, the removal of our dockets. When you actually, outline your responsibility as one of your responsibilities as the Deputy National Commissioner, you said that you...
Chair, when General Mkhwanazi made this press briefing on the 6th of July, he spoke about political interference. In my mind, he was talking about the fact that there is interference in relation to the disbandment of the political killing task team. But to go back as far as 2007, go dig old things there and talk about 2011, the late Minister Natim Tertwa, I find it unfortunate. And I don't really think we should be looking as far back as that, because that is history. That doesn't belong here in this platform. We can't be talking about political interference, talking about something of 20 years ago or 15 years ago. It's really a waste of time. However, when you talk about political interference, and he's talking about that, what the minister is doing in relation to the 121 dockets, this is where I think is relevant. And I still believe that the 121 dockets is not as a result of political interference. It's a plan they made themselves to say this is what will happen, and it will disband in phases. And the first phase will be to take those dockets to the following. And whether this is political interference, the minister will come and account to this committee on that part. I have full confidence in the National Commissioner, and I still believe that the treatment is not the same. I am a disciplined member of the South African Police Service, and I subject myself to his authority. Where I am sitting, I have never defied the National Commissioner, not even once. Even in our meeting with the minister asked a question and he said, no. In my case, General Sibiya never did anything. He never defied me. Nobody can defy the National Commissioner. He's allowed. He will, the more you can take that chance, it will be your last day there. All of us, we know you will not defy the National Commissioner.
Have you ever received any gifts from Brown Mogotsi?
No.
Has he ever paid for anything that you've benefited from?
No.
Lunch, dinner, breakfast?
No.
You said you met him the first time when you were here with January 8th that we reflected on now at the Southern Sun Hotel, but later you also spoke about Camps Bay. Which one is it?
I heard that at some point, I don't know whether it is in the messages where they say he was talking to someone saying General Sibiya is at Camps Bay. When Brian Mokhosi was in Cape Town, he met me once at breakfast time when I was eating breakfast. He came to where I was, and from there, nothing. In Camps Bay, it was myself and the two protectors. One is the guy that I came up with from Gauteng, and one was a colleague from here in Western Cape. We went to eat there.
What is the total expenditure of the PKTT?
Honorable, in Parliament in March, it was known to be 415 million. But then there was a further 20 million that was approved, which would then maybe take it to 435 million. But I do know that there was more, something like 94 million or 74 million that was also requested for approval. So basically it's almost nearing 500 million.
Thank you. General, yesterday you mentioned that there were many cases opened up against the team, the PKTT team, in terms of breaking down doors. While they were investigating these cases, do drug dealers knock and ask if they may enter? Because when it comes to addressing certain crime, in my experience, that the approach of scope and donor sometimes is needed. Do you agree or disagree with me?
That approach, it depends on the team that is actually running the operation, and depending on the challenge and the nature of the danger situation they are faced with. Chair.
You mentioned that this team was investigating cases relating to drugs, to murder, to heists. Does that not warrant this type of approach?
Yeah, but it is not every scene that must be approached same way, because sometimes you find that you are in an environment that really needs to be approached very carefully, decently. But sometimes where there are children as well in the house and it doesn't pose any risk or threat. But there are instances where you find that this environment, the intelligence that we have is that there's a group of criminals there and they are armed. The approach will be different.
So General Marcel Mula, in his testimony, argues that the use of the word immediate by the minister in his directive amounted to operational interference. What is your view on this issue of immediate? But I've also been asked to ask you that, can you explain what you meant when you said immediate does not mean right now?
When you say immediately, and your letter addresses things that must happen over a period of time, it means from now. As we say immediately, the process starts now. And that process can stretch. Now, there are a number of activities that must be involved for you to be able to get to the other side where you are expected to be. But it means that it starts now, but start implementing the decision. Starting to implement the decision doesn't mean that by the 20th, shop is closed. What is important is that make sure that you start the process and then you will end the process with a close-up report.
So did you think that when the minister said immediately in his letter, that amounted to operational interference?
I don't think it amounted to operational interference, especially the fact that
We've got Google ratings and reviews right here on cause.coza. Don't just trust
any query. We tried several times to engage with General Mkhwanazi to make peace between myself and General Mkhwanazi. And I think I mentioned earlier that at some point I mentioned that I sent one of my members who is very close to General Mkhwanazi to actually go sit down with General Mkhwanazi and say, I'm here, sent by General Sibiya. General Sibiya wants us to talk. He wants us to try and find a way of what can be done really to solicit peace between the two of us. Then we speak, and then everything is okay. Then we start talking with General Mkhwanazi. Then the next thing you will hear, one day, General Mkhwanazi is very angry again on something that happened. And when you ask our General, I thought we spoke. He said, yeah, but nina young manager nina. Young manager nina. And how are we managing you now? Because we spoke, but and then the information that I got is that the National Commissioner said to General Mkhwanazi, no, don't listen to him. He's managing you. Don't listen to him. Now I'm sitting in that situation of I'm trying to make peace this side, and this side it is my boss who's saying, no, don't make peace with him. He's just managing you. So it is in that situation that in which I find myself. I have tried very hard to make sure that there is peace, because why? It was affecting my performance in terms of one province, you don't have access, but all other provinces you have access. So I wanted to have that thing resolved. The National Commissioner, I asked him several times to make peace between us and KZN. He said, no, I will at the right time. But if I was the National Commissioner and I know that two of my senior managers, they've got a problem, I'll call them both today or tomorrow, and we'll resolve this thing going forward. It won't be something that must go on and on and on and on up until we are where we are now.
Okay, I see that the red light is on, so I'm going to do like other members and say I have three last questions, Chair. On paragraph 75, you said that one of your colleagues told you that General Mkhwanazi made threats to arrest you. You indicate that you wrote to General Khumalo and you discussed the matter. Now you are very explicit there that it was General Mkhwanazi who made threats to arrest you. General Sibiya, this communication that you wrote to General Khumalo is not part of the bundle. So what happened to that communication between you, General Khumalo, and General Masemola on General Mkhwanazi wanting to arrest you?
It was an
arrest, like what are all these threats of arresting it?
It was an SMS, a WhatsApp message that I wrote to General Khumalo. He even responded by saying that maybe what we need to do is to call the person who said that so that he can tell us. But obviously, he knew that I will never call the person to say, that person will come and say, yeah, you said this, you said that. But the bottom line is that what I was told that he said, when I want to arrest your boss, or because I said, I hear this senior manager going around saying he's going to arrest me. I've received many complaints against General Mkhwanazi. I could still do the same and say, I want to arrest him. I could still do the same. Not that I am stuck somewhere, I can't lift my foot and then he can do it and I can't do it. But at the same time, you try to make sure that you're not on the same level. Build peace, make peace. Let's not be like the same way he stood up and made a press briefing. I was not allowed to stand up also and then go toe-to-toe with him. Then it becomes like police now are at each other's throat in the media. So he did it, but there must be a difference in the level of maturity. I had to go down and find a way of how do I manage this situation. So that in the very first thing the presidency did, they said, We want to see your response. We want to see this. We want to see that. If I was reckless and maybe I went all out and said the wrong things, maybe I would have been in trouble.
I'm going to have to raise this matter with you. I made an observation throughout the answer and questions that the general has a habit of steering off away from a question. And when he does that, more time is wasted and we end up not finishing our questions. The question here, you told us that Mkhwanazi is well funded. My question was, who is funding him for what purpose?
I will for now, Chair, agree that because I'm not in a position to put the facts on the table that says it's funded by so and so. All I know is what I heard him saying that he's been given an amount of money or a donation in relation to what they were giving him to supply the children of the. He said he's going to donate the money to the children that have lost their parents. But I cannot hear where I'm sitting say it's funded by so and so. Jerry Bushoha is a I'm told he was a businessman who actually was kidnapped. I don't have the exact date.
Sorry, General, you said was. You're speaking in past tense. Is Jerry Bushoha still alive?
At this present moment, I don't know. Nobody can say. It's quite some time and there hasn't been a communication in a long time. But he's been since kidnapped. We were receiving videos of him being assaulted, serious assault, where he was being battered and he was pleading for his life. And we were all touched. And we were all trying. I've put many teams together. We've communicated, we've called the service providers. We've put a team together. We've hit every house, even that what was suggested by the family. And when they say go there, we went and we hit. Sometimes we followed the phones where we thought Jerry was. We followed when we get there. It's in Limpopo. That's the wives of maybe Mr. Matala's family. We hit that house. No, it's not the right place. So we've been all over. But I was even approached by the family, the brother-in-law of Mr. Bushoha, and then we called on everybody to be part, including intelligence, including Gauteng. They've been working together. Even now, it is the team that is still running on Jerry Bushoha's matter. It hasn't been traced, and they're working with the family. And the family is happy. I've got the report.
Is it your own submission to us and the people of South Africa that the head of crime intelligence, Lieutenant General Kumalo, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, and the National Commissioner are essentially misleading the country when in their various submissions, they make reference to the existence of the Group 5?
Chair,
a Big Five, a group of Big Five, yeah.
Chair, I have a document of the syndicate that was compiled by both organized crime and criminal crime intelligence. And the document that I have that was presented by crime intelligence does not have the Big Five.
Are you aware that some of them, maybe not all of them, but also made another presentation before the minister? They are said to have made a presentation to the Minister of Police. And part of that presentation apparently implicated you. Are you aware of that?
If they say it implicated me, in the one that I have that was made by them in my presence, it didn't implicate me. And if there is such that implicates me, I'm quite sure and I'm quite confident that I'm not involved in drugs, and I give them a go ahead to really arrest me if I am involved in drugs. I didn't know Matala. I didn't know Matala from the onset or from the beginning. I didn't know him up until the day I met him in the office. And thereafter, I met him in at the college, and I've met him several times. Like I'm saying, I indicated. Now, he is the kind of a person who is well known because he's a person who's been operating in Gauteng. When I look at the whole history of Matlala and the other colleagues that know him, you will see that he's a well-known person.
You explained that there's a false narrative that was being driven against you in the media. Did you ever task counterintelligence specifically to investigate such, especially with regards to the internal communication? You'd remember on the very famous 5th of March meeting, we discussed smear campaigns against people in the South African Police Service.
But I think, Chair, Crime Intelligence head, the Divisional Commissioner reported to me, but the officials under the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence were not being tasked by me. I could not call a counter and say, come here, the National Commissioner can do that. But in my case, there was no relationship with Crime Intelligence. There was no relationship with even the head of Crime Intelligence.
No relationship?
Yes.
General, you speak of unfair, but you know what's unfair? That we're sitting here at 11:30 on a Tuesday night about a group of adult men and women that can't get along in the police.
So I want to ask you, how are you expecting members of the public listening to the evidence or watching this on TV? How do we remedy this? And how do we restore the trust and confidence of the police in them?
I think the recommendations from this ad hoc committee will contribute to how this matter should be handled forward.